So today we're diving into one specific text. Difference between good deeds, merit, and virtue.
Yeah, our goal is to, well, try and unpack these concepts, good deeds, merit, virtue, and see how they connect to, everyday life.
Makes sense. The source text actually jumps right in with some big questions.
It does. Like, what are merit and virtue?
Yeah.
Really? And how are they different from just, say, doing something nice for someone?
And the big one. Why can merit and virtue apparently help eliminate karmic obstacles, but good deeds, maybe not so much?
Exactly. And when does an action tip over from just being good into creating actual merit and virtue?
Key questions. And the text gives us a definition right away. Should I read that bit?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. It says, when you have witnessed and verified the Buddha nature, you have merit and virtue.
Witnessed and verified. Okay.
Specifically, when you do a good deed and do it from the bottom of your heart and with your inherent Buddha nature, that is merit and virtue.
So the source of the action matters. From the heart.
Right. You were able to realize your Buddha nature while doing the deed. In other words, when performing a good deed, if you can sense that it is something that bodhisattvas do, then that is Buddha nature. You have witnessed and verified the Buddha nature.
Okay, like aligning with a higher ideal of compassion.
Exactly. And then it finishes. You receive the reward for doing something, so you have witnessed and verified the Buddha nature.
Okay, let's try and break that down. So witnessing Buddha nature, maybe that's like recognizing our own deep down potential for good, our inner kindness.
I think that's a good way to put it, yeah. And then acting from that place, genuinely, not just, out of duty or expectation.
So it's the why behind the what.
Precisely. Think about maybe helping someone move house.
Okay.
If you do it grudgingly, just because you feel you have to, that's maybe a good deed. But if you're there genuinely wanting to ease their burden, feeling that sense of shared effort and support.
That feels different.
Yeah.
That's more like embodying helpfulness, not just doing a task.
Exactly. That's closer to acting from this Buddha nature idea.
That makes sense. And the text gives examples, which helps clarify it too.
It does. It says, if you acted like a bodhisattva for half an hour in the human realm, saving and spiritually awakening others, then everything you did in that period would be considered merit and virtue.
So it's about embodying that state.
Yeah. And then a specific example. For example, while you shared Dharma with others, you felt that you were like bodhisattvas trying to save others. You felt pity towards them and genuinely wanted to save them.
Okay, a real selfless motivation there.
Therefore, everything you said and did was merit and virtue. But then it contrasts this.
Right. What's the contrast?
On the contrary, if you were motivated by selfishness and self-gain, or you do it because they were your friends and relatives, then even if you have put a lot of effort in, it's still counted as a good deed with not a shred of merit and virtue.
Ooh. Okay, so even a lot of effort, if the motive is self-interest or just helping your own, it stays a good deed, not merit and virtue.
That's the distinction it's drawing. Think about volunteering. Are you doing it to genuinely help the cause? Or maybe, well, mostly because it looks good on a CV.
Yeah, or maybe just helping your close friend's charity versus a cause you know nothing about but feel compassion for. The motive changes the quality.
Completely. The outward act might be similar, but the inner source is different.
Let's take a quick pause. When we come back, we'll explore the important role of our inherent nature in transforming good deeds into true merit and virtue.
So then the text talks about inherent nature, it says.
This bit. From the perspective of one's inherent nature, once you realize your Buddha nature and then apply it to anything you do anything at all relating to Buddhas and bodhisattvas, then it's merit and virtue.
So realization first, then application.
Yes. Note that for any person who owns the Buddha nature, once they recognize the Buddha nature and then apply it in the real world, that's merit.
It's like knowing you have a talent, like you said earlier with music, and then actually using it consciously, recognizing that inner goodness and then living it.
That's a great analogy. It's about activating that potential.
Okay, so that's merit. What about virtue? The text shifts to that.
Right. It asks, so what is virtue? Equality is virtue. That's the core definition given.
The quality, okay. How does that connect?
Well, it says, only with equanimity can a person emanate the light of great compassion and great mercy. Without equanimity, how could you do that?
So equanimity, that kind of balanced fair-mindedness, allows compassion to flow.
Seems to be the idea. It even uses Guanyin Bodhisattva as an example. If Guanyin Bodhisattva does not have equanimity, why would she come down to this Saha world to spiritually awaken sentient beings?
Right. She helps everyone, not just a select few.
Exactly. It is because of the compassion and the virtue of equality she possesses that Guanyin Bodhisattva comes to this world to save sentient beings. That's why the virtue in merit and virtue is so important.
So in everyday terms, virtue might look like treating all your colleagues with the same basic respect, maybe.
Right.
Even the ones you don't particularly like.
Yeah, or just dealing with people fairly without letting personal bias completely dictate how you interact. That striving for impartiality seems key to this idea of virtue as equality.
Okay. The text then gives a kind of summary quote.
Yes. Seeing one's inherent nature as merit, while equality is virtue. Simple and direct.
And then it elaborates on inner and outer aspects.
Right. Inner humility is merit, so our minds need to be modest, humble.
Okay. Humility inside.
Because humility is meritorious. On the outside, one must practice politeness.
So politeness outside.
People pay attention to the etiquette and courtesy displayed on the outside. If one can maintain proper courtesy and etiquette, that is their virtue.
So merit is the inner humility. Virtue is the outer courtesy and politeness.
That's what it says here. These are the principles that bodhisattvas taught us. That on the inside, we must be humble, and on the outside, we must be polite.
And it adds a practical note. As a practitioner, you must pay attention to your speech and conduct so as to not cause other people to look down on you.
Which makes sense. If your outward behavior is sloppy or rude, it undermines any inner quality you might be cultivating. And outer politeness could just be basic things like saying please and thank you, holding a door, using respectful language.
Okay, merit inside, virtue outside.
Equality depends on one's understanding, equality of understanding. If you can understand what the equality is based upon, then you have already realized your Buddha nature and comprehended the principle.
So it's not just acting equal, but understanding why on a deeper level. Understanding that shared Buddha nature, perhaps.
Seems like it. And it connects back to realization. To realize the Buddha nature, you must adopt a method that you believe can cultivate your mind and change your behavior. So it requires active work.
Right, mindful cultivation, not just wishful thinking.
Exactly. Which brings us to another important distinction the text makes about seeking blessings.
Yeah, this is interesting. It says, in fact, seeking blessings does not mean accumulating merit and virtue. Be clear about this point. People who seek blessings only obtain worldly blessings.
A clear line drawn there.
Many people don't aim to receive merit and virtue. Rather, they seek only for worldly blessings.
Like praying for specific outcomes.
Yeah, the example given. Some in Guanyin Temple pray to bodhisattvas for the well-being of their children, or for their health, their wealth, and so on. These are all worldly blessings, not merit and virtue.
So asking for good things isn't bad. It's just different from cultivating merit and virtue. The goal is different.
One is asking for external benefits. The other is about internal transformation and acting from that transformed state.
Well put. Seeking blessings focuses on getting something for yourself or loved ones in this life. Merit and virtue seem aimed at deeper spiritual growth and benefit for all.
And crucially, the text says these worldly blessings don't necessarily fix underlying issues.
Right, this part. Worldly blessings and karmic obstacles move forward at the same time, like two separate tracks.
Okay, explain that.
For example, while you have karmic obstacles, you have also done a lot of good deeds. You pray to have a child, which is an instance of worldly blessings. And when your child is born, this is the blessing that you are rewarded with.
So the prayer was answered, you got the blessing.
Yes. However, not even a bit of your karmic obstacles is reduced as a result.
Wow, okay.
It's not a case of, I have done a lot of good things and my karmic obstacles can be eliminated. No, that is not possible.
So getting the good outcome from a good deed or prayer doesn't cancel out the karma.
According to this text, no. They operate independently. Like, you might get rich, a blessing, but you still have the same underlying anger issues, karmic obstacle. The money doesn't fix the anger.
That's a really important point. Good deeds give good results, but merit and virtue are needed for that deeper transformation, for dealing with the karmic stuff.
That seems to be the core message, and it hinges on that idea of realization again.
Yes, it says, after your realization, true merit and virtue will come from all of the things that you do with your Buddha nature.
Realization is the prerequisite.
Therefore, it is necessary that you attain realization or awaken to these principles first and foremost. If you haven't awakened but claim that I do everything with my Buddha nature, these are merely empty words.
You can't just, say the magic words. You have to genuinely understand and embody it.
It's authenticity versus just saying you're being good.
Exactly. And there's that fantastic example of helping the old lady.
Right. Read that bit. It really clarifies the intention part.
Okay, for example, I helped an old lady today. I prayed to the Bodhisattva to extend her lifespan.
Seems like a nice thing to do.
But then the condition. If I hadn't already awakened, and I prayed for her simply because she treated me well or helped me often, then my praying will not constitute merit and virtue.
Oh, because the motive is based on personal connection, on reciprocity.
Yes. That is because, in the depths of my heart, I didn't help her with Guanyin Bodhisattva's great kindness and compassion. I prayed for her merely because I felt pity towards her and she was old.
Still sounds compassionate, but maybe not from that fully realized place.
That's the distinction. Therefore, the act can only be categorized as a good deed rather than merit and virtue. Accordingly, it will not be effective, meaning not effective in generating merit virtue.
Okay.
That really shows how important our deeper motivation is, not just feeling pity or obligation, but truly acting from enlightened compassion. Let's take a short break. When we return, we'll look at what it truly means to act from an awakened heart and how to apply it in practice.
So how should it be done, according to the text?
It contrasts this with the awakened approach. If you claim that you use your Buddha nature to pray for an elderly person, you are simply paying lip service. That is because you did not apply Guanyin Bodhisattva's compassion in your inherent nature.
Right.
Then it explains the awakened way. Do you know what I did? When I pray to the Bodhisattva to extend an old lady's lifespan, I think of her cultivating her mind and practicing Buddhism.
Ah, seeing her potential for growth.
And I also think of her getting old and only just awakening and starting to cultivate her mind. Therefore, I pray to Guanyin Bodhisattva to give her inherent nature and Buddha nature a bit more time to let her live a bit longer so that she is able to realize more wisdom, realize her Buddha nature, and encourage more people to believe in Guanyin Bodhisattva.
That's a much broader, deeper intention, praying for her spiritual benefit and the benefit of others through her.
Exactly. If the prayer was performed in that way, the Buddha nature within the inherent nature manifests. That's when it becomes merit and virtue.
Wow. That's a very clear illustration of the difference intention makes. It's not just pity, it's enlightened compassion for her potential.
Precisely. And the text wraps up by emphasizing this purity of mind and the need for action.
Yeah, what does it say at the end?
You must discard all distracting thoughts and not be tainted by any selfish motives. You must inspire the Buddha nature within the depths of your heart so that every deed you perform will count as merit and virtue.
Clear intention again. Pure motive.
And then about mental control. For a person to attain realization, they must possess both the virtue of their Buddha nature as well as the merit of their Buddha nature. Altogether, they will have the merit and virtue of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
No.
To be unobstructed in every thought means there is not even a shred of obstruction in your thought. In other words, you have full control of your mind.
A very high standard.
Indeed. Only when you have no mental obstructions can you see your inherent nature constantly.
And so mental clarity allows you to access that Buddha nature more easily.
When your mind no longer consists of any distracting thoughts, you can often see what belongs to your inherent nature. But then, a crucial point.
What's that?
Merely seeing your inherent nature, though, is not enough. You must also apply the Buddha nature.
Seeing isn't enough. You have to do.
Exactly. For example, if a person knows that they are performing deeds that bodhisattvas would do, but they simply safeguard their own image, their speech, and their mind, then it is not enough.
Just protecting yourself isn't applying it.
Apparently not. Why? Because they haven't applied their Buddha nature. They didn't share with people the valuable Buddhist scriptures, the wisdom of Buddhas and bodhisattvas, or the Buddhist code of conduct.
So application means actively sharing, helping, guiding others based on that wisdom.
Seems so. If you do not apply Bodhisattva's wisdom to your everyday life, you are not a Bodhisattva. Therefore, the deeds you perform do not constitute merit and virtue.
It really comes back to that integration of inner realization and outward, selfless action, driven by compassion and wisdom.
That's the essence of it, I think. It's a continuous practice, not just a one-off feeling.
So, bringing this deep dive to a close then,
Yeah.
we've really dug into Master Lu's perspective on, well, the critical difference between just doing good things and actually cultivating merit and virtue.
Yeah, the role of intention, connecting with that inherent Buddha nature, striving for equanimity, it's all part of what elevates an action beyond just a simple good deed.
It really highlights that the why and the how deeply matter, maybe even more than the what.
Definitely food for thought. And just a reminder, the deep dive is a nonprofit effort. We do this because we find these ideas valuable and hope you do too.
Absolutely. If you want to read the original text yourself, check out the show notes. We've put links in there. And please, if questions came up for you or you have thoughts,
Do let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And also, if there are other topics or sources you'd like us to explore in a future deep dive, definitely email us.
yeah, we're always open to suggestions.
So, maybe a final thought to leave you with. How might this distinction, this idea of good deeds versus merit and virtue, maybe shift how you look at your own actions and intentions as you go about your day?
Definitely something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.